Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Community Unitarian Universalist Church in Plano. My name is Reverend Dr. Ayadong, and I am the minister of this congregation. I am glad that you are here. I welcome you, whether you're here in person or joining us online. We strive to gather here with a mission. Our mission is Community Unitarian Universalist Church is a congregation of welcoming, diverse, caring, and committed people. We provide an atmosphere and framework for examining spiritual questions individually and communally, serve by enriching the spirit through words and fellowship, and educate all ages by promoting ethics, a sense of morality, and the pursuit of personal and shared truth. We work together to make our world a more compassionate, just, and respectful place. And the three words, the short version for all of us to remember is to nourish spirits, work for justice, and transform lives. I'm glad you're here to join us on this journey to work for this mission. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, you are welcome here. So let's begin our worship with call to worship words coming from Leslie Takahashi. To worship means to consider that which has worth. Today, we consider with gratitude the many gifts of this community. The opportunity to be affirmed in who we are and to offer that affirmation to others. The chance to stand up together to help remake the world in the ideal of justice. The freedom to choose one's own path to truth and to learn from the travelogues of others. The space to expand one's own spirit and to reconnect after busy or humdrum weeks with the sustaining truth of one's life. Regular reminders that we must see our world through the lens of love. And the aspiration to consider all life as precious, for all of it is made of stardust. How can it not be wondrous? So this morning, let's welcome all of these gifts with gratitude, for they have been paid for with many currencies. The blood of the martyrs who died so that we can be free in our religion. The sweat of those who persisted in justice's names against hostility and adversity. The tears of those who struggled to build better lives for those in this life. The questions of our children as they understand the world anew and offer their understanding to us as a fresh lens. The laughter and joy of those giddy with the embrace of community. The dollars and cents of those who gave what they could, and they stretched a little more. The infinite small acts of service that make the parts greater than the whole, done by those who knew themselves in sympathy with our purposes. So today, we consider with gratitude and humility what it means to pay forward what has been paid forward for us. And now with all of this, let us enter into worship with gladness in our hearts.
I'm Sandy Farlow. I am a worship associate and part of the team that is working to bring this service to you wherever you may be. Today is the first Sunday of our stewardship campaign for the church year 2024-2025. One of the great joys of being in community together is to know that we can rely on each other, that you need me, that I need you, that we need each other. In today's stewardship moment, we'll hear from June Bruns, our excellent stewardship committee chair. Welcome, June.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As Sandy said, my name is June Bruns, and I'm your 2024-25 Stewardship Chair. So, if you're new or visiting, you might ask, what is stewardship? Well, stewardship is the responsible overseeing and protection of something considered worth caring for and preserving. Because we value our church community, each year, members and friends make a financial commitment in support of the operation of our church and its ministries. The theme of our stewardship campaign this year is Commitment to Community. Your pledge is a manifestation of your commitment to the mission of this church. More than a financial transaction, it's an act of devotion, affirming our principles and priorities that community represents. A lot of you know we've had a challenging year, but our unwavering commitment to community pulled us through some very difficult times. I'm asking you to be intentional and thoughtful as you make your decision. How important is this community to you? How does community enrich your life? Ask yourself not, how much can I spare? Ask, how much do I care? And you'll get it right. Thank you for your commitment to community. Your pledge makes it possible to continue the good work as we flourish and grow our community. Thank you.
Thank you, June. So the question is, how much do you care? If you remember that last summer in August, we had a worship service where we had put paper on that wall, and I invited you to come up, draw or write, what do you love about this church? I compiled a list of things that you wrote down, and I would like to read several statements from this list. See if you can spot which ones you wrote in there, which was yours. I came first for the ideology and theology, but fell in love with the people. This church is my spiritual home, family, and sanctuary where I feel safe to share my soul and heart. Family of wonderful, hard-working people building a church where love is the spirit and service is its law, in an environment of freedom of religion. Like-minded people, family atmosphere, spirituality, and helping me grow in that area. Love is the spirit of this church. You held me when I needed holding. I hold you when you need holding. Came because of acceptance and welcoming of all people. Stayed for the same reason. Meal train after surgery. Women's Alliance and social events. Great worship, the music, choir, folk singers, jam. Because my dad said he wanted to go, that must mean something. This is a house of love, a universal love that won't extinguish. CUC and warm-hearted people here have helped me in many ways over the 30-plus years I've been here with my husband. I offer where I can and support as I can with dollars and service to continue that tradition as we can in respect for justice and kindness. These are just a few things of what you wrote, but they show that this church has been a place of meaning for many. It has provided nurture, support, community, a place to grow, and it also added a challenge or two. This is what makes this community amazing and worth caring for. This is what makes it worth to give our time, our sleepless nights, to share our talents and build on our skill set, and to share our treasures. So today we begin our stewardship drive and ask you to commit to giving from your treasures so that this church can continue to provide nurture and support. I admit talking about money can be rather challenging. I have come to learn that people here do not like to talk much about the money or income. And the culture is very different here than it is in the place where I grew up. When I came to the United States, I did so because it was a hospital that invited me to come and do the clinical pastoral education to work for them as a chaplain. And all throughout this time, I was visiting back my family, and they were interested to hear about my life across the pond. They wanted to know my experiences, what the life is like, what the culture is like, what people eat, where do they shop, how do they get around the town. And then very naturally, the question comes, and how much do they pay you? Without hesitation, I said $23,000 a year. That is how people talk about money in the place I grew up. Because in that part, people share about their income. That tells them whether the employer they work for is a good one to work for or a shady one, and you may not want to go there. They also learn that way what struggles the family is experiencing, where they might need others to help them. This is a different culture, and of course, when we talked about 23,000 being a great, huge amount, and then we had the conversation how even 20 years ago, here, this amount was not really that big of a salary, but it gives an idea to start the conversation. You start exploring and talk about money, and when we look at the culture here, our employers do not want us to talk about the money, right? They want us to not know that they are paying unequal salary to their employees for doing the same job. We carry shame sometimes for not making enough or for making too much and talking to somebody who's not going to make that much in their lives. We are carrying shame for living with debt or not being able to handle our bills and payments that we're facing. And the thing is, not talking about these things are not going to solve the problems, right? Only when we allow for a conversation to start, that we open that door to explore other options, to see who can be there to help us, to see how we understand money and what it is for in our lives. A little more about my life. My mom is an accountant and has been for all her life, and my sister followed her path as well. But my mom began teaching me about budgeting my finances since I was a child. I remember that we went on, I was in a sports team, playing basketball in a team, and we would go on trips, and my mom would give me a little bit of money and say, well, now you have to handle it so that you have enough on your trip. You need to think about how you're going to spend it so that you can make it home at the end of it, right? Later on, I got a business degree, and I understand for some of you it may seem strange to see a minister who is a bit of a stickler about money and how it's spent and used. But I do believe that the way we use our money matters. And whether it's for personal reasons or as a community, we usually spend on things we care about. We spend on things we need, based on also what we care about. If we care about our health, we're going to spend on our health needs, whether we want it or not. And then if we like some things, we will save so that we can go on trips, as an example, right? But the same applies to church spending. And in order for us to have a solid financial foundation, the church needs strong financial leadership. When we plan our budget, it is more than just a matter of assigning funds to this bucket or this line. It is about considering what is important to this community. What do we care about? What is our mission and vision? And allocate the funds for that purpose, to be able to accomplish it, to work towards our mission, to engage it. And we read the mission statement earlier in the worship, and I would like to read a vision statement as well. Does anybody have a clue what it is? Maybe some of you? So our vision statement is what we would like to become is, or be, to be a dynamic and nurturing religious community that celebrates our human diversity, supports lifelong spiritual growth, and acts for compassion and justice in the larger community. My understanding that this was written a while ago, but I think it still rings true. This is still our dream. This is who we want to be, and this is why we work so hard in this congregation to make it live and to be able to thrive and to live into this vision. And part of being able to have that dream and live into it is to have an income, to have some money, to be able to support and grow the congregation, to be able to make a difference in people's lives. In any community's life, in this community, we have moments with difficulties and struggles that can wear us out. We get disappointed with some decisions or with how people have handled some things. But then we also have these moments that encourage us and lift us up and bring smiles to us and to our hearts. Throughout this year, I have come to know many of you. And you are hardworking and gifted, talented people. You have various talents among you, and most importantly, you have passionate hearts. What I know about you is that you care about people in this community, about one another, and you have dreams for this place. If I would ask you to write down how many hours you have spent on doing something and planning something for this congregation, would you run out of your paper? Probably, yes. How many nights you may have not slept really well because you're thinking and percolating on some of the planning that's coming up to happen. How many worries you've had over the decisions. Do we want to go this way or the other? And all of these indicate that this church has a meaningful place in your hearts. So as we tag along through this year, we know that some things may not work out great. But we've kept at it. Through this year, I've seen you keep working hard, keep doing things to live into the mission and work of this congregation, and keep pouring your heart out. The story that we heard earlier and then the choir was singing about being keepers and guardians of the dream. The story said, about the tree said, we are the keepers of this community where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become. Now you're being asked to consider what you're willing to give for this next coming year. And so that we can together dream and consider what we will be able to accomplish with our gifts and talents and treasures. Will you join me in supporting, sustaining, and expanding this community? Will you join in this dance and dance together?